So this is like so getting straight to the point here, but like here, howdy, like all the greatest beings that are out there in the universe, the master universes, all those masters, all those sifus, all those gurus, and all ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, young and old beings from all over the universe, the multiverse, and the super universes as well, and the ultra universes. This is an evening broadcast, of course, it's pretty obvious by now. And some awesome things that I love to run through is just the awakening that is happening. And I want to start off with good news. Obviously, this awakening is occurring, and this is a live broadcast, so everything that I say is happening live. So there's no way that I can falsify things happening at later terms, because it's going to seem like I'm really precognitive, and I am precognitive in a sense. But I'm also having, an aspect of comedy as well, so let's start with that. So, like, a lot of people don't know, like, first of all, I just want to say, like, I have a lot of material. Like, I could go on and on and on. Just countless materials on a certain subject. But I digress. I really, really actually want to, and this is actually really recent, I really like Joe Rogan's podcast. I know I've mentioned him twice already, but still, like, it's like, he's a sort of, like, someone to look up to, in a way. But what I say is about that is the newest broadcast podcast that he made, when he was talking about how he's into, like, Area 50 or UFOs in Area 51. He was talking about how he saw this documentary and how there's just fascinating things that, I guess I would say the majority of the public doesn't know about, in terms of technology, all that stuff. And what came to my mind is, like, this stuff isn't really known. Like, it isn't really out there. It's just, assumed, and then we just go on about our days, and that's what I think is really amazing. Like, we are just, like, we think, which is hopefully not true, that we're, like, I mean, obviously it's not true, what I'm about to say, but, is that, like, we just focused here on Earth. Like, everything that happens on Earth is like, only about Gaia, like, only about Earth. And it's so funny, because we're so, like, into each other. We're so connected with one another. We're so, which, you think I'd say the opposite. We're not connected. We're not getting along. But we're so connected to each other that we just, like, we bully each other. Like, when you think about it, we're a planet that bullies, like, one another. And, like, what's the point of doing that? It's so amazing, like, how we have so many solutions that are off-world that we didn't even comprehend. But, like, just making a connection with another being, like, allows that connection to happen. And that's so key. It's so fascinating. It's almost hilarious. Like, we struggle with things that have no reason to struggle with. Like, we spend most of our time struggling of stuff with cultures and customs that we didn't even create. And there's a whole bunch of habits and constructs that were built just to know that there's something more beyond the planet. So it's almost comic that, well, like, the Arcturians, the Arcturians are really advanced. They've been around the galaxy more than once, one rev. And it's like, this civilization is old. It's pretty ancient and pretty old. And what I mean by that is it's a compliment. They're really well developed, and they're highly advanced spiritually, not just mentally and physically. I mean, the physical part, obviously, but the metaphysical part, more specifically the non-physical, the spiritual. Very advanced spiritually, and we could be that advanced. And the thing is, like, the problems that we may have, like we could complain we could probably spend a total of 2 years in our entire lifetimes complaining about traffic. Not just complaining about traffic, but actually sitting in traffic. Like, that's an actual lifestyle, is to sit in traffic and wait. And, like, people do that. Like, people do that for a living. Like, they wait in traffic. That's hilarious to me. Because, like, think about it. Like, we've had anti-gravity craft since the 80s, and yet people are complaining about the lack of transportation that's been the same way since, like, forever. That's not really conventional, and it's like the lazy thing. It's like the lazy move to go. Like, there's a scooter on the side of the road, you just pick up the scooter to go to your next, like, location or something like that. And that's, like, not practical, and it's lazy, and it's also not that fun, especially if you complain about it. So, like, it's so ridiculous. It just seems like the silliest things that we do all the time. Like, we buy this hunk of metal, we put some stuff in it all the time until it doesn't work anymore, and then we either do it again or we destroy it before we get to do it again. And it's just repetitive cycles of, like, things that don't matter. That really, 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 when you get down to it, they really don't matter. And it's incredible. And it's like the help that is out there. Okay, so, like, just looking out in space, just one section, there's so many beings there that are willing to, like, communicate with us. It's like all we do is, like, bicker amongst ourselves instead of, like, communicating with them. And I'm really, like, obviously pushing the envelope in a certain way, because not that many people even know what an Arcturian is. But, like, most people don't even know what a ship is, like what a spaceship is, or what a starship is, or what a mothership is. And most people think when I say the Athena, they don't think I'm referring to the Arcturian mothership. They think I'm referring to the goddess Athena, or like a sculpture or something like that, or statue of some sort. And so, like, that's just like the difference, the massive difference. Like, there's huge motherships. Like, there's so many things to do on this planet, but there's so many things to do off this planet. Like, we don't have to do the things that we have to do, that we think we have to do, which is so mind-boggling in itself that it requires debate. Like, there's so much more freedom. It's weird to realize how much freedom you have until you realize how much freedom you have. And it's important to recognize that freedom and to keep it and to treasure it and to know that it's there, because it is there. And it's strong. And it's important. It's important to have freedom. It's important to really be free in the mind, in the heart, in the spirit, and in the soul. And that can be done easily. But it's almost a choice. There's so much free will. Like, okay, yeah. Houses are great. $1 billion houses, having a lot of money is wonderful. Having, like, a great friends, family, like an epic career is great. It's fantastic. So let's get off the planet. Let's do something with that. Like, is as fun it is to, like, squat on a planet. Like, we're so much more advanced than that. We need to recognize that. Like, there's no need to be, like, dreaming up a reality that's built off the customs that have come before. And that's going to happen regardless. But you have to understand what I say when I say new cultures, developing new realms and new ideologies and new thought forms and new ways to live and new stuff. Because this old stuff is old. It's ancient. It's not, it's ancient in the bad kind. Like, it just breaks down and it's kind of useless. There's a lot of useless stuff on this planet. A lot of useless chores, a lot of useless, things. And of course, okay, yeah, there's memorable value, or there's personal value. Yeah, sure, that's definitely true. But it's kind of silly to ignore an entire quadrant of our galaxy. And it's weird because it's like you can baby it, but it's not really babying, It's just, okay, we're born on this planet, we're really powerful, we look up at the stars all the time, but do we ever think of venturing to another quadrant? Do we ever think of exploring something outside our planet? Do we come back to the planet with good news of all the other planets we visited, all the other stars we've seen? Do we come back with families from the other planets and have diversities and populations that diversify on those planets or on this planet, or are there other types of planets? I mean, are the planets alive? These are the type of questions that happen that are they can't be missed. This is the stuff, if I wanted to say, okay, Yosemite or Sequoia Forest, you gotta go to Sequoia Forest. There's huge trees, there's lots of great water, great fishing spots. It's a great place to go backpacking and biking. I really suggest this so-and-so mountain or, peak or rock climbing spot to go to, or horseback riding along the ridge, etc., etc. That's how star travel should be. I want to go to that planet. I'm going to stop by this planet, this planet, this planet, and we're going to make a lot of friends, something like that. That's the type of lifestyle that's going on right now. But it's so amazing that we're focusing on education, on stuff that happens here, and completely ignoring the exoanthropological side of life. Completely ignoring it. And it's or there was a stigma that was so ridiculous. It was insane. It was UFOs, you're not supposed to talk about it, all this secret stuff about what's out there in space. And there's no point in hiding something you love, someone you love, a new experience that you can meet. There's no point in hiding the truth about South America and all the wonderfulness and the jungles and the huge amount of diversity there. It's always going to be there. It's enticing. It's beautiful. It's nature. And same thing with planets. Planets, they're there, and you want to commune with them. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the weird one who actually wants to explore planets and then come back to this planet, my home world, and consider this like my home world planet. Maybe that's strange. Maybe that's strange to actually think that it's possible to take an old solar warden ship, for example, and just travel outside the solar system, or even just travel in the solar system. I mean, it's almost like this stuff has been repeated over and over and over and over and over and over in my head. And it's how? How can things be so bizarre? It's just this huge gap. Why is this there's really isn't a gap. There can't be. There's so many beings that want to come here. There's so many beings that want to, meet and be with the humans. There's so many. And it's like the opposite of anything we do. Like, instead of, like, we should be excited about going off-world and doing all these off-world things. But instead, it's like we're focused more on just looking straight at the ground and staring at the floor and building stuff on the floor, and then just living in stuff that's built off the floor, and then just staying on the floor. And it's Floridum. It's a kingdom of Flority. It's florism, floridic, floors everywhere. Just floor obsession. And the ground is, okay, maybe it is pretty to look at. You know, I'm not gonna knock anybody's, majority of the planet world's desire to look at the floor. But I'm saying, if you do look up every now and again, think about just think about it. That would make my job a lot easier. That would make creating a galactic society a lot easier. And it can happen, you know? It can happen a lot sooner than a year. But you gotta believe. You have to believe. That's just like a spiritual threshold that we gotta pass. Like, I'm certain it'll take a while to pass that threshold of, okay, we don't have to really have like these actual borders to divide and conquer. There's no reason to divide and conquer on a planet anymore when we should just unite with the entire solar system. It takes longer to bicker about something that's pointless than it is to unify with an entire solar system that we've never seen before. And that's a fact. The difference in bickerdom is massive. Like, you can bicker about the biggest things that we think are the biggest things, but it's really not. Like, we think that having a house is a big deal, or having an apartment or a condo or etc., living someplace is a big deal, when there's so much space. Anybody is able to create anything however they want, how easily they want, wherever they want. There is so much space. It's ridiculous. No one will ever need to complain about space ever again. There's space on the moon. There's space in the oceans. There's space in the atmosphere. There's space on Jupiter. There's space on Saturn. There's space on other moons. There's all this stuff. But this compact living in like these squares and odd geometrical shaped things is so really different from how united we can actually be. And it's hilarious because, think about it. How long does it take to do all the things that you want to do in a day? Say, like, you have a schedule, and you have a bunch of things on that schedule, and a bunch of things that you need to set, do, accomplish on that schedule. Is that schedule going to change when there's planetary shifts? I mean, do we even know what planetary shifts mean? Are we even prepared for something like that? Do we need a planetary shift to happen before we can relearn what it means to create a schedule that's based upon planetary shifts? And I'm not saying that everybody needs to have a planetary shift schedule. Like, every time the planet changes, you need to change your schedule because Christopher Bowen said so. It's more on the lines of, I mean, I'm all about change. To be honest. But at the same time, I'm not insanely ridiculous when it comes to, like, what you want to change. Or, I mean, I'm an expert on it, I would say. I'm a master, because I'm self-mastered that. And mastery does come in play. Even when you're resting, taking a deep breath, soaking it all in. It's not a lot of soak in. Just soak it in. Soak in all the memories. All that exciting new information. Let it settle in. Settle into your skin. Settle into the bones. Trust the process. Breathe deep. Exhale. Inhale. Believe. Trust. Anchor. And become. And so it is. With lots of love, this is your host, Christopher Michael Curtis Bowen, on this evening edition of the Christopher Bowen Show. I love you all.